Hey guys, Pastor Jeremy here with another installment of Leadership Moment. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but just over my shoulder there's a couple of cranes out there grazing on the lawn, a male and a female. And they come by here, I notice, every single year to nest for a season. And I went out there earlier with my phone to try and get a couple of pictures. These birds are about head height with me, they're huge. And they were kind of chicken, they were running away. So I don't know if you can see them, but that's pretty cool. Beautiful day outside. The joys of Hiawatha Lodge and church out here in the boonies. Anyways, I wanted to talk with you guys about spiritual strength, staying spiritually fresh as ministers and as those who are serving Jesus. And the reason is I came across this verse here. Jesus says in John 15:5, he says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. But apart from me, you can do nothing." And I'm struck by that because I'm a guy who reads a lot and reads a lot of youth ministry books. And youth ministry books tend to use a lot of strategy and creative thinking as ways to reach people and effectively build relationships with students so you can impact their lives. And what Jesus says is all of that is well and good, but what a student needs most are leaders who are connected to him. I thought that was pretty convicting. It's something that we already know, but it's good to be reminded of. And so he uses this illustration here of vines and branches, that Jesus himself is like a vine which gives life and bears fruit. And you and I are like branches, and we need to be connected to him, otherwise we shrivel up and we die. And a lot of us, we've been through seasons of our life that were like that, where spiritually speaking we strayed from Jesus and we began to shrivel up and die. But now, hopefully, we're youth leaders, we're setting an example as Christians, we're back on the right track, we're walking with Jesus as best as we can. And what Jesus is saying here is you need to stay connected to him if you're going to have any fruit, any results of your labor. And so what this really means is a couple of things. One is we can't rely on our own strength. Some of us have good skills with planning and strategy. Some of us have real charismatic personalities that youth like to gravitate to. Some of us are real creative thinkers. We can come up with all kinds of great ideas of how to have a fun and inspiring youth ministry, and we can use all of these things, and they're gifts that God has given us, and that's well and good. But the most important thing is for us to be spiritually connected to him. Otherwise, we're disconnected from the source of power. We've got no life to give. Jesus says that we've got no fruit. And so we will ultimately be useless in Jesus' hands as youth workers unless we're spending time with him. And that's really point number 2, is we need to stay spiritually fresh by having a devotional life. And this looks different for all the different kinds of people. So my personality and your personality are different. We do things differently. Some ways work for you and may not work for me. The important thing is we need to figure out a way to regularly spend time with Jesus. Is this just a religious thing we're doing? We're going to Wednesday because that's just what we signed up for? Or is this a relationship where out of our love for Jesus and our desire for others to know him, our life is overflowing in a life of service? And so we need to be reminded occasionally, we tend to forget as Christians, that we got to spend time with Jesus. That would include simple things like reading the Bible. There's all kinds of great Bible reading plans you can sign up for, and there's apps you can download for your phone or iPod to do that, and they're real simple. Also, this would include prayer, talking to Jesus throughout the day. If you're like me, I'm not the kind of guy who gets on my knees and prays for 45 minutes. It's pretty darn rare. I tend to talk with God throughout the day, short spurts as I'm doing things in between tasks, things like that. This may also include just singing songs to Jesus, some private worship time. So if you've got favorite Christian music or worship songs that maybe you can listen to in the car or quietly when you got a few minutes at home and just sing praises to Jesus. That's the kind of thing Jesus is talking about, staying connected to him. And this is ultimately one of the most important things we can even talk about as youth workers, because we want to see students meet Jesus. We want to see them discipled. We want to see their lives change. But none of that is going to happen. Our Wednesday nights, our special events are wasted if you and I are not connected to Jesus. He's the source of power. He's the source of life. You and I, apart from him, can't do anything. And so it's a good reminder for each and every one of us to just kind of check our habits, check our hearts, see where we're at. Maybe an opportunity to repent of some things and spend some time with Jesus. And so my prayer is that as each and every one of us youth workers takes it upon ourselves, takes responsibility for our spiritual life, staying connected to Jesus, we will see great fruit in our ministry. So that's the word for today. Thanks again so much for serving. Greatly appreciated. We'll see you guys soon.